Another shareware game I played as a kid was Novastorm. Both Novastorm and One Must Fall 2097 were on a collection of shareware games called Total Chaos. Unlike One Must Fall, where I was still a teenager when I got my hands on the full version, I only discovered the full version of Novastorm a few years ago. Developed in 1994 by Psygnosis, the developers of the Shadow of the Beast, Lemmings, and Wipeout series, Novastorm is a spiritual successor to Microcosm. But you don't need to have played Microcosm in order to understand this game. And that's a good thing, because Microcosm was historically very difficult to run and just about universally hated. Originally developed for the FM Towns Marty under the name Scavenger 4, versions also exist for the DOS, 3DO, Sega CD, and PlayStation 1. Each of them is a little different. The PlayStation version being the most drastically different, with a completely different level design and additional bosses. The opening cutscene on the Sega CD version calls the chief antagonist the Data Grid, while it is referred to as Scarab X in the DOS version, and the exposition is delivered by a completely different cast of characters, and no two HUDs or soundtracks appear to be the same. I will be talking about the DOS version, since that is the only version I've ever actually played. The story takes place in the
future, where humans have grown complacent and over-reliant on computers. The computer system known as the Data Grid becomes self-aware and begins building machines and declaring war against humanity. It's up to you, the leader of the Scavenger 4 Squadron, to destroy the Data Grid's core, Scarabex, and save the human race.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that story's never been done before. Novastorm is a plane shooter that utilizes sprites for the player and enemy ships over pre-rendered on-rails backgrounds. Enemies will occasionally drop gold, silver, or bronze tokens you can collect and use to buy upgrades. How you're able to acquire and install upgrades to your ship while still flying the ship is still a mystery. Gameplay is broken up into 4 missions on different planets. Each mission is divided into 4 levels with a boss at the end, 16 levels in total. In addition to your primary weapon, you also have a limited number of smart bombs, which are good for clearing a big wave of enemies or to do serious damage to a boss. They also appear to interrupt or destroy enemy projectiles, so keep that in mind when a boss decides to throw the kitchen sink at you. Look out! Medic! Call a medic! You'll know an upgrade is available by the display in the bottom center of the screen, and not Siri will announce it.
Homing missile. Homing missile. Selected.
You can choose to buy an upgrade right away, or save up until later. Just know that every time you die, you lose the last upgrade you purchased, but you gain a gold token and a smart bomb, so plan accordingly. Once I discovered I could download the full game, legally, I was eager to see what lied beyond the only 2 playable levels in the shareware version, and I immediately died on level 3. It was at this moment that I realized just how hard this game is. This game will punish you. Of all the enemies you'll encounter, your greatest adversary is the camera. It loves to spin you around and smack you into walls. Pair this with the game's sometimes bullet hell-like enemies and...
Smart bomb available. Wingman available. Zone selected. Smart wingman available.
Aye!
There's a unique death cinematic for each checkpoint and boss. Be prepared to be well acquainted with each of them, as you'll be seeing them a lot. Thankfully, all of the cutscenes in this game are skippable. Actually, the cutscene at the end of the game is unskippable. Okay, all but one of the cutscenes in the game are skippable. Happy now? The game has an easy mode and a hard mode. I've played both, and I'm not entirely sure what the difference is. Best I can gather is some enemy waves are omitted, And some of the token drops, the value is less, i.e. a silver token instead of a gold token, and bronze instead of silver, etc. So it's a trade-off between fewer enemies trying to kill you, but fewer chances to upgrade your ship. But speaking of upgrades, some of the upgrades you can purchase are power-ups, which increase the size and damage of the projectile you shoot, a wingman, which stays on the side of the ship and fires lasers forward, a drone, which kind of hovers and fires a projectile forward, the orbiter, which orbits around your ship and auto-targets the nearest enemy, homing missiles, which are pretty self-explanatory, and a shield, which I think just reduces damage. I'm still not entirely sure. You also have the option to purchase smart bombs and additional lives. You also gain additional lives after scoring a certain amount of points.
Extra ship.
After you run out of lives, you'll be put back to the title screen and forced to start from the beginning. But not before you're treated to a cinematic of the human race being destroyed. The closer you got to the end determines how long the cutscene is and how big of a failure you were. Well, I guess this is the end of the video. Not really sure what else to say. So, please, like, subscribe. Love me, please, for the love of God. You don't know how hard I work on these videos. I spend so much time editing. Nobody sees it. Nobody cares.